The Bangladesh Nationalist Party has won a historic parliamentary election after vote counting through the night. The BNP entered the race as the favorite, with leader Tarique Rahman returning from 17 years in exile to lead the campaign. The party says it's on course to win 2/3 of the seats in parliament. It's Bangladesh's first election since a student-led uprising ousted the former authoritarian leader Sheikh Hasina in 2024. Her party was barred from running. Let's turn to DW special correspondent Namisha Jaiswal. So projections hint to a sweeping victory for BNP. How much of a surprise is this?
Well, Aaron, it's not really that much of a surprise. The word on the ground very much was that the BNP is going to win. But what's surprising is this projected massive landslide. Now, we know that it's confirmed they're winning. They already passed the halfway mark when it comes to the total votes that have been counted. But polls closer to the election showed that there was a neck-and-neck competition between the BNP, the centre-right BNP, and the alliance led by the Islamist Jamaat-e-Islami. It was the expectation was that the numbers would be closer, but it does look like the BNP seems to have swept through. But overall, it looks like Tarique Rahman is going to be the next Prime Minister of Bangladesh. He's called for his party members not to do any victory rallies. He's asked for Friday prayers, so asking for a more muted reaction. When it comes to the promises of the BNP, they want to focus on infrastructure, on supporting low-income families, on including women in policy making, even though they only fielded 10 candidates, around less than 4% of their total candidates were women. It's also interesting that the BNP says that they will crack down on corruption, even though their last governments, when they were formed, were actually allegedly rife with corruption.
Now, many observers describe these elections as a crucial test for democracy in Bangladesh. What would you say? Has the country passed that test?
Well, it definitely is a big question here, especially because the last 3 elections were seen as completely rigged. So many of the people we spoke to when we were out and about were beaming, saying this is the first time I'm voting. These were also people in their late 20s and 30s, Aaron, because they felt like they'd never been able to vote before. Some even told us that they went to cast their ballots, but their ballots had already been cast. So the mood on the ground was very optimistic and very positive, at least out here in Dhaka. Now, there have been reports of some violence around the country. Local media is reporting that 8 or 9 people may have been killed, but that is still considered to be low by Bangladeshi standards. The general election seems to have been carried out largely peacefully. Some of these deaths seems to be related to health concerns. Now, the Jamaat-e-Islami has alleged that some votes are being delayed. The NCP, the youth party, has also said they're seeing discrepancies, but it's also being reported that they will accept the results of this election. Now, keep in mind that Jamaat, even if it wins 60 or 70 seats out of the 300, that's far more than the 2 or 3 seats that was their highest total in previous elections. The Jamaat was banned for the last 10 years. So anything that they do at this point would end up being a much better result. They have promised to be a strong opposition.
Now, the 2024 revolt was largely led by students or Gen Z. How do you see them reacting to these results?
Well, it's interesting there as well, Aaron, because the NCP, the party that was born of the youth revolution, seems to have so far only won 5 of the 30 seats they contested. That's not a very good number, but it does seem that they lost some of that youth support after they allied with the Islamist Jamaat-e-Islami in December. But when it comes to actual young people, when we speak to them, some of them had expressed concerns to us about the Jamaat alliance winning because they had concerns, especially when it comes to women's rights. A lot of young people out there were really optimistic about seeing a change. And a really interesting thing one student leader said to me was that irrespective of who comes to power, we'll be watching, we'll be keeping up that pressure. And if they do not do what the youth want them to do, they will be relegated to the dustbin of history like the Awami League, like Sheikh Hasina's Awami League was in 2024.
That was DW correspondent Namisha Jaiswal. Thank you very much for your reporting.